Hi, I'm Kelly Stern. I'm a freshman at Clemson, and I am an environmental and natural resources major. I attended the Crossing Borders New Student Dialogue. Coming into the dialogue, I thought it was going to be something about like immigration with people of Latin descent, or something with Middle Eastern, like how we view their culture. But it was actually about accepting other cultures and learning about them. Um, I'm really interested in other cultures. I love traveling. I've traveled to 25 different countries. It's definitely one of my favorite things to do. Um, I think our group did achieve true dialogue eventually. It started off pretty slow. You know, we had to do those papers about the like how our life is portioned out, kind of making the pie chart, and we discussed those a little bit. So that took up a good bit of time because no one really wanted to talk at first. And then we watched a pretty long video. It it was pretty informative though. I did enjoy it, but it did take up a lot of time that we could have been using for the dialogue. The video was called The Danger of a Single Story, and it was about how hearing only one side of something can have very negative effects. The speaker grew up in Africa, and she only read books that were American, and all the girls had, you know, white skin and blonde hair, and it snowed. So she thought that that's what was right. Like, those girls were pretty, and, you know, whenever she started writing her own stories, she would write them about young American girls, and it would snow, and all the things that she'd read about, and those were the only things she read about. She never really got to read, like, African literature and literature about her people, so it was a really good, eye-opening story, I thought, and I did enjoy the video, but it took up more than half the time that we were there, and you know, after that we finally started to get into the dialogue. I thought it would be more of like a discussion or a debate. It didn't really hold my attention once we got to the dialogue. It was very, you know, generic questions, and not a lot of people wanted to talk. Like, I like to talk in those situations. I'm a big debater and discusser. I very much enjoy those things. So I was one of the main speakers. There was a few other people, not many though, you know. I don't know how many people were in the room. It was full though. Only about 5 people spoke a lot, you know. Some other people did input every once in a while, but the majority of the people in the classroom were very quiet. But I feel like a lot of people were quiet because you know, they're scared to voice their opinions. Like, public speaking isn't everyone's forte, and it makes a lot of people nervous. They don't want to be judged in that situation, especially when you're expressing your opinions like that. I did talk a lot. I'm very opinionated, and I also knew that if people were talking, then it would go along quicker, and it might not last the entire time because, you know, everyone needs to study and do things, and we're all pretty busy here at Clemson. So why do I think the dialogue is a component of Library 100? I feel like Americans in general are very close-minded to other cultures. We like to think of ourselves as like the perfect nation, but a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of other cultures out there that are very interesting, and so I think it's just kind of like the dialogue itself is to kind of open our eyes, and I think the Crossing Borders one was good because a lot of people are. I think our leaders did a good job carrying on the dialogue. Um, when we got to, you know, some points where people really didn't want to talk, but they weren't really very enthusiastic about the topic. I mean, you could tell they were definitely interested, but the enthusiasm level just wasn't there, which didn't really help keep people's attention and keep us, you know, engaged in the topic. But I did do kind of like a middle to later session, so they'd done a lot before that, so I can see where it would get very repetitive and very old, so I don't blame them for that at all, and it's totally fine by me. It still went well, and we ended up getting out a little bit earlier. I didn't think that the dialogue was really worth it, though. I can see where like a dialogue would seem better than like a discussion, because it helps people's there's no really way to express different opinions. It's just like asking questions and saying like this is what it is. It's not really like opinionated, so no one's feelings are really going to get hurt, because a lot of the topics for the dialogues could be a little offensive. They were a little controversial at times, like about like homosexuality and things where people's feelings could get hurt. So I feel that's where it could seem like a dialogue would be necessary. I feel like for me personally, a discussion might have been more beneficial, just because I really enjoy hearing other people's views. I love discussing and debating just because of that. I love seeing people's points of view on life, because it can be so different from my own. So if I could change anything, I'd change it into more of a discussion, not so much of a debate, but more of a discussion than a dialogue. And I don't know if I would do it again, though, if it was just a dialogue, because it really wasn't. I was expecting it to be a little more engaging and exciting, and it wasn't. But I feel like it was worth it, doing it the one time, and I'm glad that I did. And I hope that next year they can make a little bit of improvements so it's a little bit more fun and enjoyable for the people. Thank you. Close-minded to other cultures, but there was other good dialogues too about like interracial dating, and those are all good. It's pretty much like an eye-opening experience, trying to broaden your mind and try to open your mind too to other ways of life.